He didn't call, he just tore in, a ragged, grader-driven storm. The smile, that smug one, like he'd just signed a charity check. The first impact cracked the eastern wall as if it were drywall, not cedar planking. By the third collision, the rafters, the very beams my father and I had hoisted by hand, shattered like brittle bones. He called it clearing, said real men don't hide in sheds. But it wasn't a shed. It was the last thing my father ever got to build. And it definitely wasn't his sister's land. It was my land. Now, as it turned out, his bankruptcy was about to become mine, too. Rex Sterling was one of those men who believed value was measured in decibels and inches. The loudest voice, the biggest pickup, the widest stance at the barbecue, always striving to occupy more space than he was allotted. I tolerated him for Sarah, my wife. Back then, I still believed in family, even when he snickered at my joinery. Furniture built by time and care methods. No nails, just precise grooves and hand finishing. A cute hobby, he'd mutter, while Sarah next to him offered her awkward, tight little laughs. I let it go. But then he crossed the line, the one you don't come back from. 5 years ago, Dad passed. The cancer was fast and merciless. It took him before he could finish his final project, a walnut toolbox with dovetails so fine they could be mistaken for machine work. After the funeral, I took his tools and, locking myself in our workshop, I finished that box. It took almost 2 months. I'd occasionally wipe away tears, remembering Dad, while sanding the wood to a mirror sheen. That workshop was him. Every scratch on the workbench, every scent of sawdust and linseed oil. And now my wife's brother had just leveled it. He claimed he was reclaiming space on her lot. I didn't scream. I didn't rush out for a confrontation. I understood that a legal dispute wouldn't be solved by shouting. The legal preparation had started 2 months before day 0, over a different matter. I'd received a strange electricity bill in Sarah's name. Digging deeper, I found an old clerical error from our wedding. The utilities were registered to her, giving Rex a false sense of entitlement. To protect the inheritance, I proactively gathered proof of my property's value. I located the deed for the land, my name only, completed a detailed inventory of every tool, and commissioned an independent appraisal of the workshop's entire contents. This was my shield in case Rex tried to challenge the ownership. When I asked Sarah why her brother was loitering in the backyard, she mumbled something about, "Rex thinks I spend too much time alone." She avoided my gaze. Our lawyer, Arthur Vance, had warned us. To file an injunction, we needed a new notarized land survey report with updated measurements to guarantee victory. We were expecting that report any week now. I didn't pressure Sarah, but I opened a new folder on my desktop. I named it Burned to the Ground. I called Vance. We began building the trap, waiting for the final document. But Rex didn't wait. He struck in the single critical window where my legal defense was still in transit. I watched his grader slam into the foundation, the camera in my hands silently recording every second of the maniacal destruction. What he thought was a triumph, I saw as the gathering of the final, most crucial piece of evidence that turned a legal dispute into a criminal act. After the dust settled, the first step was to secure the crime itself. Step 1. Documenting the crime. I immediately brought in a drone company that performed a 3D scan of the ruins and the lot, fixing the crime scene and the property boundaries according to the old records. This became visual evidence. I also immediately contacted Vance, who tracked down the grader rental contract. It took a few calls, but my old friend at the heavy equipment rental yard came through perfectly. A copy of the contract, signed by Rex himself, along with his license and address, arrived anonymously. Undeniable proof that he acted personally and with intent. Step 2. Assessing the losses. Leveraging prior work. Here, we utilized the groundwork I had laid when I was merely defending my property. We submitted the notarized deed, my name. We attached the detailed inventory with serial numbers and the expert appraisal of the now destroyed equipment. They valued the cumulative worth at 5 times what I had estimated. Step 3. Malicious intent and the final ace. I didn't say a word to Sarah or Rex. As he finished off the remnants of the roof, his face glowed with malice. That evening, he even posted a video on social media, standing on the rubble with his fist raised. "Time to take back the backyard and give our family room to grow." That clip, filmed on his own phone, became Exhibit A for malicious intent. 3 days after the dust settled, Rex received the notice. It was a lawsuit for destruction of property, trespassing, malicious intent, and civil damages. The assessed loss, $138,700, not including punitive damages. Everything changed during the deposition. He repeated his mantra endlessly. "My sister's land." He was as sure of it as he was of the pants on his legs. That's when Arthur Vance, the quiet librarian, unhurriedly slid the fresh, certified new land survey report, the document we'd been waiting for, across the table. It confirmed the workshop stood 10 feet inside my property, and Rex, who was about to take a sip of water, froze. He didn't even suspect that this was only the first layer of what awaited him. The deed, slammed onto the deposition table, was the first brick. From there, everything happened methodically and flawlessly, like a well-executed carpentry joint. Vance began his presentation, and each successive piece of evidence was a hammer driving a nail into Rex's coffin. First, the drone aerial photos unequivocally showing my property lines. Then, the surveyor's report. Next, the detailed inventory with serial numbers and appraisals, transforming his shed into a high-value, professionally equipped space. Vance even showed photos of Dad's unfinished toolbox, demonstrating that what was destroyed was not just property, but an incomplete family legacy. Then came the greater rental contract, signed personally by Rex. This stripped away his ability to claim it was an accident or that he had just hired someone. And finally, the ultimate chord, the video he himself posted where he proudly stood amidst the wreckage, declaring his triumph. Rex's face turned ashen as his lawyer leaned over and whispered something in his ear. It was a moment of complete, searing realization. He understood he hadn't just destroyed a workshop. He had buried himself beneath its ruins. The judge ruled in my favor. Full restitution for damages, $138,700, plus covering all my legal fees. That was only the visible part of the iceberg. Rex, confident in his rightness, had hired an expensive law firm and refused pre-trial settlement. After the judge's ruling, the total debt, which included his own exorbitant attorney's fees, court costs, and the final penalty, topped $250,000. It was an amount he couldn't cover in cash. Within weeks, tow trucks took away his cherished, shiny pickup, and then his boat was sold. Rex, by paying the debt, avoided bankruptcy and losing his house. But the price was high. He lost his status symbols and was financially depleted. His name, once so loud, was now a whisper and a warning among acquaintances. And his wife couldn't forgive him for dragging the family into this financial abyss because of his pride. As for my wife, Sarah, she left. She said I had become obsessed, that I cared more about a building than the family. She was wrong. I cared more about the truth than the lie, about memory than manipulation. I didn't let the building become more important than people. They did. She silently watched him destroy the last memory of my father, and said nothing. I responded in kind when she left. I rebuilt, but not according to the old design. Something quieter, deeper, hidden on the lot behind a stand of trees. No driveway, no sign, just stillness and secure locks. Inside stood a new workbench, and on it a simple walnut box with those same dovetail joints, each one hand-cut. No machines, just me and time. In the top drawer lay a copy of the court judgment, and beneath it, that same photograph. Dad and me, smiling in the sawdust in front of the first workshop. He thought he destroyed something. He didn't know he buried himself along with it. Revenge doesn't always shout. Sometimes it wears a business suit, meticulously saves receipts, and operates like a scalpel, cleanly, deliberately, and quietly enough to echo forever.